Hey guys, welcome to another review from Kerno EDC. Today we're looking at the Maxpedition Fatty. This is a nice little loadout pouch that you can really pack with a lot of stuff. I'll sort of delve into the contents in a minute. For the minute we'll look at the exterior. So as you can see on the front we have this stitched on logo. We have this front webbed pouch, which when it's packed out it's kind of difficult to get anything too bulky in, but it can be handy for having things at hand very quickly, i.e. this Tombow sort of Write in the Rain style pen. We also have this patch on the front which I have attached to my Civivi Wee Knife morale patch that came in my Elementum recently. And then we have two YKK style zippers with paracord pulls that are very handy. The pouch is obviously, it sort of opens up in a clamshell style. Great quality zippers and great quality stitching all round. On the back we have a 6-loop molly system for attaching to your bag or whatever you fancy really. And then a handle for pulling at your bag or attaching to a belt loop or whatever you wish to do with it really. It's just quite handy to have. It would be kind of cool if it was up here, I think. Maybe a little bit more discreet. But either way, I guess for attaching to belts and stuff, maybe that's a bit more practical. I'm not sure. Anyway, good quality stitching around here. Obviously you can see that it's not really going to come off anytime soon. The overall build quality of this product is great. Yeah, so looking at the contents, the zips around, obviously you can have the zips either end depending on your preference. And then opening it up, we have this. So this is kind of my grab and go woods bushcraft carry, I guess you could say. This doesn't, I will say this doesn't have everything I'd take to the woods. This is kind of the immediate things I want at hand. I have done a lot of sort of expedition stuff in the past. It's not something I sort of have time to do these days so much as I do like that. I'm a dad though, so if I go out to the woods with my daughter for the day, this will be my sort of grab and go. If we go out just for an hour, I would probably just take this. But this isn't everything I'll take to the woods or out to do something outdoors. But it would be at the top of my backpack or in a accessible pocket or externally attached to my bug out bag. So everything in here is stuff I'd like to have quickly at hand, but it isn't necessarily everything I'll take to the woods. So if there's stuff missing in here, you know, I'd usually have it somewhere else. But diving into my main sort of tools, this is, usually I take some kind of locking folding knife. This is my Civivi Elementum. It actually has a fast open function like that. Recently acquired this. This is the Ebony with the black wash blade, black stonewash blade. So yeah, usually I have a locking blade. Tend to like to have it separate from my multi-tools. I do have a locking blade on my Leatherman Wave, but I tend to just like have a dedicated knife for carving and stuff like that. Then I have this, which is my Victorinox. This is customized. This is my Huntsman. I might do a separate video on this because I have modded it. I've got a number of different features, including a ferro rod. I've got a number of different fire starting functions within this pouch. So this is sort of like a backup ferro rod. Yeah, so I might do a separate video on that, but generally if I go to the woods, if I was to take just one multi-tool, even if I didn't take anything out and I just wanted something in my pocket, this would be it, because it can cover so much ground. Then I have a small, this is like a budget Pry Bar, sort of cheap Chinese thing that I ordered, but sometimes it's just handy to have something for prying, or if you've split into some wood and you want to break something off. It's just better than just damaging other stuff that you necessarily don't want to damage. So yeah, a pry bar can be pretty handy. Then I have my Leatherman Wave. I won't do a review on this probably because there's so many reviews of this fantastic multi-tool. Leatherman, you can't really go wrong with a lot of their products. So that's sort of my multi-tool collection with regards to what I take out to the woods. Then I have a couple of spare carabiners on this small internal loop, which you can see that's sort of like a paracord style thing. I always find just having a couple of carabiners, they're just so versatile and handy to have when you're out and about for anything from attaching a bivvy shelter to a tree to attaching, say, a water bottle externally to your backpack so that you've got it for quick access. Possibilities with a carabiner are pretty endless. In here I have a Write in the Rain notebook. Those of you are probably aware of this product's fantastic. With the Tombow Airpress pen, I can write in any wet conditions and not have to worry. Water will just run off the pages of this. It's fantastic. It's also got the little ruler measurements on the back for drawing a line under a title or measuring something that you're making, for instance, or carving. So yeah, very handy just to have a little notebook for taking notes or leaving a note or whatever you need to do. Then inside this pouch we also have this clip. So people ask about the difference between the Maxpedition Fatty and the Maxpedition Beefy. From what I gather, unless the measurements are different, which I don't think they are on the actual pouch, I think the main features are, the main differences are these. I think on the Maxpedition Beefy, it has a chunkier tab coming down here with a single sort of loop that you can attach stuff to, whereas this has an actual like clip that you can put keys or anything you don't want to lose onto. In this case I have this little compass, so that stays on there and I can just take it off whenever. Again, I don't really do any big sort of expeditions, so this is just for just teaching my daughter sort of how compasses work and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing else in this pouch, but it's quite deep. I mean, with the Write in the Rain, it just about sinks right in there. But obviously there's a lot of space up the top, so if you want to stick a large mobile phone in here just to keep it away from the weather or whatever, then it would be nice and snug. So that's that side. I call that the left lid side. Moving over to the right hand deep side, I carry a black bandana. It's usually just handy depending on the time of the year. It could be used for anything from wiping sweat in the summer to I don't know, whatever you might use it for, wiping your knife off when it gets muddy, or food prep, whatever you're using. It could be like a tea towel kind of thing. So yeah, so many different uses, even an emergency bandage to wrap around a limb if you're bleeding heavy. Need something at hand quick. Then on this inner side here, there's a loop. I keep a little torch or flashlight if you live in the States. Depending on where you live, you'll call it something different. This is just a cheap one. I usually have something a little bit better on my person, but this is just an extra handy thing to have. You can't really adjust the brightness of it, but often we take a GoPro to the woods with my daughter. She likes to, if we find a hollowed out tree, she likes to shine a torch up through the tree, and then we use the GoPro so that we can film inside and then look at the inside of the tree when we get home. So that's usually the main function for a torch or flashlight, if you're wondering why we might need it in the daytime. I guess if you came across like a little cave system and stuff, it might be handy for having that. Then I have it's actually a fairly cheap ferro rod. It's not usually my go-to for fire starting. Usually I do it the easy way with a lighter. But again, it's sort of fun to teach my daughter different bushcraft techniques, and a ferro rod is obviously quite standard when it comes to that sort of thing. In this little box here, I have a very basic first aid kit with a couple of plasters and alcohol wipes, and some paracetamol, other bits for bandages like safety pins, Again, this isn't the main first aid kit I'd have in my bug out. I'd have another one, but this is just quick at hand if I accidentally snag my hand with a knife or with an axe, which I have done a little bit in the past. You draw a bit of blood, clean it up, put a plaster on, and you're good to go. But like I say, I carry a main first aid kit in my bug out. Then I have this SOS Whistle, always super handy to have at hand. In fact, it could even go out on the front here, just so that you've got something super accessible in the case of an emergency. Again though, my bug out bag has an attached SOS Whistle, so this is like a backup really. But yeah, so I keep a spare one in there, because you never know, and then some paracord. Again, I usually have lots of this kicking about somewhere in various bug out things. I've got a bug out bag, and I've also got a Yeti loadout go box, which I may also do a review on at some point. Depending on which of those I take, I usually have loads of paracord in them anyway. I use them for shelter building, to other things like made a little makeshift spear for my daughter, and I used it to tie the slate spear point onto the actual stick. So again, multiple uses for that, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. And then, so we've got this vertical system, elastic system here. You've got two large loops for storing stuff such as this little first aid box. Under there I have, so these are kind of backups really. These are the fire starter fire ant tinders that go onto the corkscrew of a Victorinox. They're super handy, but they're sort of quite pricey, so these are sort of just backups really. Again, when I go out to the woods, I usually have a bag of cotton balls that are rolled in Vaseline, petroleum jelly, which are slow burners and they're perfect tinder, so I tend to use those. These are just sort of backups, which I keep in here in this little tub. Yeah, so we got the two large elastic systems with the two small ones on the front. I've stored like 9-volt batteries in these for a sense of scale. In fact, probably this little pot would probably even go in there as well. Lots of lots of different things that you could fit in there. For reference, I could also put my Huntsman in like that. There's lots of different ways you can lay these things out depending on your needs. And then the final thing behind is just this little zip pouch. So in here I keep my main lighter for fire starting, of course, or anything else you might need. I use it for burning the ends of paracord to seal the fraying so it doesn't fray more. Again, just super handy to have a lighter and a lot easier than using a ferro rod most of the time. These are Ranger bands. Bought these off eBay. You can get them in various sizes. They're essentially inner tubes, a lot of these. They're just snipped down to size. Though these are actually, I think, more purpose-built elastic bands. They're very strong. They're called Ranger bands because the army used to use them for covering up reflective parts on their external gear, just to stop reflection and giving away their position and stuff. So that's where the idea of Ranger bands came from, but they're super strong and super versatile and handy for lots of stuff. So I always carry a few of them. This lanyard here came with the SOS Whistle, but it's just super handy to have a spare lanyard for many things. You can attach it to your knife, take it off when you don't want it, or to a torch or anything else you want at hand, or to drop into a pocket and be able to access it easily. Then I keep a number of these. They're just lemon scented wet wipes for cleaning my daughter up. If we've had like a hot chocolate with the trangia or something and she's a bit messy, I use these to clean her up. Or on my own hands if I'm about to cook, I'll clean up with those as well. Hairband, again, usually for my daughter to tie her hair back, especially if we've got a fire going or something. But again, just handy to have an extra elasticated thing that can fasten stuff to things or keep something shut. a backup mini Bic lighter. This is a backup because it's obviously got this zip tie to stop the fuel wasting out if it's accidentally pressed. But again, just a backup, handy to have. Sometimes you misplace lighters if you're moving about a bit in the woods and you forget it, you leave it somewhere and you're like, oh darn, I can't find it. So having a second one is always handy. Little bit of measuring tape measure, I guess you could say. Just handy if you're trying to measure something exactly. It's a bit larger than using the Right in the Rain ruler on the back. This, which is a small like bin bag, it's actually for dog mess, but I use these for, they're just a small bin bag. I don't usually need to take a full bin bag to the woods because I don't take that much rubbish. Often I'll find a lot of rubbish in the woods as well, so we just try and, me and my daughter will pick some of it up and put it in a bag and take it away with us. So they're always handy to have. A couple of spare zip ties attached with an elastic band. Again, more elastic bands. Never have too many really. And then just a quick mocha coffee, which I carry this, and I usually have a hot chocolate for my daughter. Always nice to have a little brew on the go. And that's it for this pouch. I'm just going to check. Oh yeah, so on Amazon, this retails at £25.49. It comes in a number of colours from black to khaki to foliage green and to OD green. This is the khaki colour. Yeah, overall build quality is great. The measurements on Amazon say that in height this is 8 inches. I've measured this, and even when it's packed out, it doesn't really push past 7.5 inches in height. Width is 5.5 inches, and depth obviously varies depending on how packed out it is. Generally it's about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Unless you've really packed it out with some awkwardly shaped objects, it might protrude a bit more. While we're here, I just want to say thank you to the people that have been watching my last 2 videos. They've both been doing really well. I had 1,600 views on the first one, and the second one is almost up to 500 views in less than a week. So just want to say thank you to all the viewers, you guys, for liking and subscribing. And if you wish to see more of these, please hit the bell icon. Yeah, just helps me sort of feel like I want to make more of these reviews for you, because I know that you're getting you know, some helpful information. I know I come to YouTube to find out things from various YouTubers, and it's always just handy to have someone that's, you know, got these things and doing reviews. So yeah, as for the material, this is tough. I think it used to be 1000D Cordura nylon. I think they might, with some of the products, have gone down to 800. Even that small reduction hasn't really affected the overall quality of these products. They're still super sturdy, super tough wearing. I've had this for a couple of months. The elastic hasn't like worn out or loosened or anything. It's still super tight in all places. Yeah, really good build quality overall. I think that's just about it. Yeah, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear them, and thanks for all your support. Cheers.